screwed. And so they found some dude at some internet place who did a back of the envelope conjecture about it, and now it is gospel. I make millions and trillions, which is, I guess, that's what I want to talk to you about today. Is I'm not going to tell you about the history of my website. You can go read my Wikipedia page. Don't you know who I am? I'm not going to get into all of that. What I want to talk to you about is the reason that I want to walk away from the millions and trillions of dollars. So I want to take off the queen, I want to take off the crown. Why I want to walk away from something that is working. Just last week, The Atlantic ran this story about my decision to walk away and its implications on the entire industry of mommy blogging. And I set the internet on fire, you guys. I mean, the mommy bloggers went crazy because who do I think I am to be interviewed by The Atlantic? I mean, who do I think I am to say that I choose to not do this anymore? Except what they saw on the screen was, Deuce declares mommy blogging dead. Well, it turns out that I'm really good at getting people to misinterpret me. Really, 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 really good at this. Back in April, when I announced that I wanted to step back from blogging and not do sponsored content, the internet went crazy. They were like, oh my God, Deuce is gone forever. And even this dude, he wrote a post about my retirement. My retirement. Thank you, Anil Dash, for calling him out on Twitter and telling him to read the words that I had written. No, what I want to do is get back to the content that I originally wanted to write, which was the raw and the real, the not so pretty parts of life, the funny, the everyday life, my daughters, my dogs. I wanted to get back to oh. It writes itself. So there's an artist, her name is Liz Phair, and she wrote a song called Nashville, and in it is a lyric that I have hanging over my computer, and it's how I write. And the lyric is, I can't imagine any better terms than naked, half awake, about to shave and go to work. I won't decorate my love. And she's talking about a romantic love, but that is the love that I have for my girls and my dogs, or my dog now, and the life that I led and the stories. I didn't want to decorate the everyday and the ugliness of it. I wanted to celebrate it, and I wanted to write it and move you and make you laugh. And I always did it as irreverently as I possibly could. I was chronicling my baby bump with my second child, and some reader said, well, you are not glowing like you should be. You have a scowl on your face. So I was like, I will show you a smile, and I will show you a scowl. Don't challenge me on that. So this is my trademarked brand of crazy, as one critic put it. This is what I want to write about. And until 2011, I supported 4 employees, including myself and my entire family, on the banner ads that ran around this content, just banner ads. And I could write about anything and everything that I wanted, completely unfiltered. And it was glorious. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And then you all probably know that the bottom completely fell out of the banner ad model. And what was selling for $3 and $5 and $7 basically was selling for 15 cents. And so the only way to make money as a mommy blogger was to do sponsored content. And so I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make this work? I'm supporting 3 people in my entire family. What do I do? So if I'm going to write sponsored content, I'm going to fucking write sponsored content. I'm going to write first what I want to write. Second, what does my audience want to hear from me? And third, I'll make the brand happy. And so for 2 years, I wrote the best sponsored content you've read on the internet, period. You're not going to find better sponsored content. And then in 2013, a campaign came along that was the beginning of the end for me. Banana Republic came to 5 authors who are represented by Federated Media and said, we want you to do a 3-day getaway, and we want you to write about it, and we want it to be fun and untraditional and not stuffy. And I thought, you want me to throw a party and you're going to pay for it, and you're going to pay me to write about it, and twist my arm a little bit more, Banana Republic. And so then they said, can you use your gay assistant and his boyfriend, can they be a part of it? And my gay assistant was like, yeah, let's do this. So I took a step back and I was like, okay, so they want my gay assistant to be a part of this and his boyfriend, and they want us to go up to Park City and spend 2 nights at Deer Valley, and they want us to drive this car the whole weekend. Also, while you're up there, can you guys go horseback riding? The post wrote itself. And my gay assistant saw all the pictures at the end, and he said, I'm going to quit if you don't call this Brokeback Banana. So I did. And I also wrote about the horseback riding experience because they wanted me to. And I don't know if any of you guys know if you don't know anything about horseback riding, if you haven't been in a long time or haven't been ever, about 5 minutes into the experience, there's a lot of pain in your legs and your butt. And our excursion was 2 hours long, and 45 minutes into this, I was in so much excruciating pain that I literally was doing the breathing exercises that I had practiced to prepare for the natural childbirth of my second child. And it was the breathing techniques that I learned in the natural mother birthing books that show the mother in all of her natural glory, that show all of the hairy vaginas. Oh yes, I did write that in that post. Oh yes, I did. How could I not? I'll take it off so you don't have to look at it. So the initial reaction to that was, oh my God, this is the funniest thing you've ever written. Second reaction was, this is the funniest sponsored content I've ever written, or that you've written. 3, I can't believe Banana Republic lets you do this. This is amazing. I love Banana Republic. And then it was, Banana Republic let you do this? And then 2 days later, I got a call from the representative at Federated. And Banana Republic was not happy about Brokeback Banana. They were so upset, in fact, that they demanded I remove it from my website. They demanded that I take it down immediately and make it disappear. Poof. Because apparently you can do that on the internet. And I said, okay, I'll take it down, but I'm going to tell my readers why. And that sent them into complete panic mode. So my author representative called John Battelle, founder and CEO of Federated Media, who is having dinner in London with the Black Eyed Peas. And she calls him up and she's like, John. So I get a call from John Battelle, who's upset because, one, he's had to leave his dinner with the Black Eyed Peas. And just a tangent, in that moment I was like, are you seriously gonna name drop with me, John? Really? I have 1.5 million Twitter followers, John. Like, do you have a direct message from Peter Frampton? Tyra Banks, Boy George. How many inappropriate direct messages do you have from Lance Armstrong, John? So then he's doubly upset because Banana Republic has threatened to pull all of its advertising from every Federated Media property. hundreds of millions of dollars. And he sat there and scolded me like a child and said, "How dare you do this? How dare you put 50 jobs on the line? How dare you do this? How could you do this, Heather?" And I was stunned, but like my initial reaction was like, who didn't tell Banana Republic that they were working with this woman? Who at Federated didn't say, "Do you know who Deuce is? Do you really want her working on this?" Like, where did that disconnect happen? But I stood my ground. That's who I am. It's how I've made my name. And they realized that, and somebody made some sort of like negotiation. They came back and they said, "Okay, fine. You can leave it up and we won't remove our advertising, but please take out hairy vaginas." Those two words, hairy vaginas, are the reason that all sponsored content going forward from that day has to be approved by a brand. I'm responsible for that. Blame me. The brand gets a say now, but you know what? You can blame me for a lot on the internet. I mean, I don't know if you remember this. Andy just mentioned it. My mom is really proud of this. Sponsored content going forward from there was absolutely torturous and soul-sucking because the brand not only got a say, the brand wanted product placement. They wanted rewrites. They wanted to inject everything into your post, and they wanted no irreverence whatsoever. And I joke about John, but he and I have a really good relationship, and he took really good care of me in my contract. Such good care, though, that I had to say yes to every campaign that came my way. And in the days leading up to the end of that contract, because they wanted it to end, I got handed a 3-part series, a 3-part campaign, 3 posts, where I had to stick my kids in the car, drive them to a fun activity, and play a word game in the car, and take photos of them, and then write about it. Except that when I'm in the car with my kids going anywhere, it does not look like this at all. It looks a lot more like this. We are either listening to music and arguing about it, we're not listening to music and arguing about it, we're kicking each other's seats, we're screaming at each other, we're shooting lasers out of our eyes. This is what it looks like. And that 3rd post came along, and my kids were done. They were like, "We don't want to do this, Mom." And I had a deadline. And I had to coax and cajole and beg and bribe and scream and plead, "Please get in the car, let's go do this, we have to do this." And they're like, "Please, Mom." They were in such a bad mood. And hours and hours and hours later, I got the content that I needed, I got the photos, I turned in a really good piece of writing that was completely manufactured. And at the end of that day, I felt like a completely empty shell of a human being. And thought, this is what I have become. This is how I'm making my living. So in the last almost 15 years of me doing this, I've experienced a lot of success, but I've also experienced quite a bit of crap. I was hospitalized for postpartum depression, which I wrote about, but that depression is now used against me. I'm that crazy woman on the internet. My divorce was played out across the internet, the dissolution of my marriage. I read about it on Jezebel. I read about it in my local paper. I read about it in the New York Times. I read about it all over Twitter. People will recognize me in public. They won't say anything, and then they'll go home and they'll send me an email that says, "I saw you at the grocery store, but you looked really haggard and gross, so I didn't want to say hi." It happens all the time. My children's teachers read what I write. My children's friends read what I write. My children's friends' parents read what I write. All of my neighbors read what I write. I was sued by a publishing company. A lawsuit that was eventually settled, but not before my entire savings was completely wiped out. Just last week, a stalker found the hotel where I was staying for a wedding in Springfield, Illinois, found my room and slipped a really creepy handwritten letter underneath the door. And I've endured this for the last 15 years.
You've got this